Welcome back to Box of Delights. Today we're looking at a game I've actually shown you before. I showed you Legends Untold from Inspiring Games back when it was a Kickstarter preview. What I have now to show you is a pre-production copy. I've taken the shrink off, I've not opened this up yet, so I'm going to be looking at this for the first time with you. And I must confess I've lost touch a little bit with what happened during the Kickstarter campaign and how they upgraded everything and what was new and what got developed. If you remember, this was a small box like this big, so there's not much bigger. Final box. But what I'm looking at is the final contents, the quality of the cards, and hopefully a better rule book. And let's see. Oh wow, some tokens too. Wow, that's good to see. I know when I was playing through this, I was improvising with tokens, so that's good to see. I'm glad about that. And yeah, let's have a quick look. Oh, I've got stacks of cards. A lot more cards than was in that preview. So that's also good to see. Looks like the graphic design has changed a little as well. Let's start with the rulebook. If you have opened Legends Untold for the first time, begin here. So this is cool. It was quite a struggle, if I remember, just getting the rules down right. And I know in my first attempt I did make a few mistakes. So what is this? The Weeping Caves book. How to use this book. This book comprises 3 sections: an introductory walkthrough scenario, the Caves cinematic campaign, which is a way of playing Legends Untold via a series of linked adventures known as episodes, and the card almanac, a visual almanac of all the cards in the game. Okay. Oh yeah. So this gives you a breakdown of what scenario and episode cards mean, location cards, obstacle cards, barriers, discoveries, foes. Wow. I know this game it was quite barrier heavy. I see the artwork remains the same. Oh, this is really good. This is really cool. I like this. Because one of the first things I did is, it chucks you in at the beginning and you're struggling trying to figure out all the rules. To have a walkthrough that actually teaches you the game as you play, that's really cool. And what about these tokens? What do these? And the rulebook's really thick, isn't it? I think. Yeah, there we go. I think Paul Grogan works on this. Yeah, so here's the Gaming Rules logo. So. Yeah, additional game design, Paul Grogan. He's got a little game design credit as well. So that's really good to see that they've actually got a comprehensive rule book here. There's some color coding so you can quickly skip around the book. I like this idea. Other things, we've got turn order, some rule summary cards. Let's have a look at these. Let's have a look at these cards. They've really changed the layout of these. If you can think back, they were horizontal, and I was using the Forge Hand card. So you've got male and female sides. You can just switch them. Stats are all the same. Just change the gender if you wish. The artwork, and you can see the location cards here. Well, much bigger. And previously you had to go from the artwork to decide whether something was dark or bright. But now it's very, very clear because every entrance and exit has an icon to tell you precisely. Yeah, I think I'm a fan. I like this. There's more opportunities for clearer artwork on these. Oh, notice too, I said there's no dice in this pre-production copy. There's no insert either. When you get your copy, you should see some dice, a nice insert tray. Alright, let's have a look at these cards. Okay, these are the adventure cards. Lots of goblins. Of course, the artwork here is now final. When I was showing you this game, you had just some pencil drawings on these. And obviously this is just one set, right? This is the beginning set, the beginner set in this caves environment. You're going to have other sets like the sewers where you get different enemies, different encounters. And of course each is going to bring its own set of scenarios. I noticed last time I showed you this, the events were actually on, because these are scenarios. Yeah, interesting. The events were actually on these cards, but I think what we're going to find is we should find a new set of event cards specifically, so we're not kind of multi-using those cards, which I think kind of makes it a little bit simpler to understand what's going on. There's less information in front of you. Yeah, there we go. So here's our event cards instead. Okay. Cool, but there's tons of stuff here, yeah, really good, and I'm really happy with the quality. They should be happy with the quality, and the iconography that's been really simplified looks really neat. Great artwork, yeah, I'm impressed. And I think the highlight for me is, apart from all these extra tokens, which is neat, is I think the rulebook, and the rule books I should say, looks really neat. One other thing to mention before we dive into the gameplay is this major addition to the base game, the Weeping Caves set, is this cinematic campaign. It allows you to do a campaign. It does change some of the rules a little bit. For example, we've got these 4 persona cards that come with the game. You've got to decide how to escort one of these elders through the caves as they accompany you. You've got to kind of look after them. They bring you a special, but they also come with a hindrance as well. So for example, Wanda, the High Elder here, says you can't choose dark exits unless you really have to. If she survives the adventure, then you get her gift, which is her lantern. But also with the cinematic campaign, you've got a record keeping sheet to kind of track your progress between adventures. This book gives you an episode, so you've got a backstory, you've got a success and fail for completing each episode in the series. Okay, I'm not going to reveal too much because I don't want it to be a spoiler. But then you can, at the end of the campaign, you can see how well you've done, depending on how many elders, how many gifts you've achieved from your elders. Okay, so a neat little addition that kind of gives you that ability to just keep playing the game and progressing through. Nicely done, nice addition. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick look back. It's always nice to see how these Kickstarters transpire. Before we go though, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up and give you a bit of a taster of the walkthrough. So I'm just going to start through that first round of the game, exploring, just showing how these new components work in the game. So join me at the table, let's get going. This is a 3-player scenario, so we're not playing solo. We're playing 3 of the 4 characters in the game. Okay, remember this is 1 to 4. So we've got the farmer, the farmhand. He's got a weapon, the rough bow. You can upgrade this weapon to the upgraded bow with better stats. And he's got the following talents. He's tenacious, dependable and accurate. If you remember when you're setting up your hero, you put your talents like so. And these can get exhausted like so. We also have Igana. She uses the student occupation. There she is. And is armed with a rough spear. And she has the arcane theory, is travelled, and the guarded stance. And then finally Jeremiah worked in the forges and mines of the Sacs. So his occupation is forge hand. Here he is. We won't need the noble, the evicted noble. And he starts with, he makes weapons for his people. He's has the worn axe, if you remember that's the one we used in our preview. Okay, the worn axe. And all characters start with a knife as well. So you've got a worn axe, and his talents are smithing, caving and openers. Now it says here with the walkthrough that we're going to use specific cards. Okay, but we'll just play. I'll just pull those out when the time comes. But we're going to start at the cave mouth. All right. And it also says which cards we're going to draw. So you set up the decks. You kind of stack the decks to help you play through the walkthrough. Right, let's start then. So normally with setup, you just go to the rule book, and it looks good. It looks good. So you've got your contents here. Environment cards telling you what it is, how to read the rules, okay, how to set up the game, setting up your hero. So it says these are the suggested weapons, skill talents and weapon talents. So you can see we've all got 2 skill talents and 1 weapon talent each. This is how you set them up, right? And then setting up your adventure. So choose an environment to play in, caves or the sewers. We've got the caves set, so this rulebook will give you instructions how to play both. Right, so we start at the Weeping Caves, our cave entrance. The party have arrived at the entrance to the Weeping Caves in search of an ancient shrine that lies somewhere within its depths. Kaelin, Ergana and Jeremiah must work together in order to investigate the caves, locate the ancient shrine and use its power. So here's our party. I'm going to grab the readiness track, place that to one side with the other token if and when we need it. So here we are entering the caves. On entering the cave mouth, the party see there are 2 exits from the location, one marked dark and one marked ambient. We must decide on a marching order before we choose which exit we're going to use. The party always has a scout at the front and a guard at the rear. So Kaelin offers to be the scout, so he takes the scout token. Right. So this is really cool. I mean, previously we had to try and remember this stuff, but now we've got tokens. So we've got a scout and a guard. Right, who's at the front and who's at the rear? Really cool. So Kaelin's going to be scout, and Jeremiah, our forge hand, is the guard. As a scout, Kaelin decides which exit we're going to go through and decides to take the dark exit. That's going to make it easier to surprise foes, but harder to spot traps. So our party makes its way to the dark exit. Kaelin also decides that we're going to sneak. This is going to use up more time, but gives us a bonus to scouting and surprise. We draw the top card of the location deck, which is properly shuffled up, but remember we're going to have this stacked, so we're looking for the Oculus. Imagine this one was on the top. There it is. Okay, so you draw a location and footsteps meet the exit we're going through, like so. And now we make a scouting test, right? Scouting tests are an important part of every adventure as we come through this cave. And normally we roll 3d6, see what our result is. These aren't the ones, remember this is pre-production copy of the game, so these aren't the final dice. And the value we've got to get is dictated by the brightness meter here on the card that we're entering, the location we're entering. We're coming through the dark exit. Alright, so we look at this value here. Alright, if we were coming through ambient, we'd go here, bright would be here. Alright, so we need to get a 9. Because we're sneaking, we get a +2. Alright, a +2 modifier. So we got 9 plus 2, that's 11, that's greater than the difficulty. We've been successful. So we've succeeded, so on our readiness we're bold. Now if we exceed by 4 or more, so if we rolled say a 12 on this, with our +2, that's 14, that's 5 more than 9, we would actually be alert. So let's assume that's what's happened, that's what the walkthrough tells us. And the other thing is, moving into a new location, exploring, takes 1 time, but because we were sneaking, you actually have to spend an extra 1, that's 2 time. Now as this is a short adventure, the adventure book tells us we're only going to use 4 time cards, right? 4 event cards. So 2 of them are now gone. Right, we discard these face down. Right, we've just got 2 cards left. Now we look at the location that we're entering, the oculus. Just in front of the footprints is an obstacle. So Kaylin draws the top card from the obstacle deck. I know from the walkthrough it's going to be the treacherous bridge. The treacherous bridge is a trial, and it's a party table test. That means the whole party has to do this together. An old bridge spans a deep chasm. The boards look rotten and creak ominously underfoot. Each hero must test move, grace +0. There's also a modifier here that says if we're careless there's a -2. Okay, we're not careless, we're alert. Okay, so we didn't come stumbling in here carelessly, we came in with alertness. Okay, cool. So what does this mean? What does this test mean? Each hero must test move, grace in brackets +0. Okay, so we're going to use, what this means is we're doing a move test. So we've got anything that says, you know, a bonus to your move. This is the type of test we're doing. But the raw skill that we're using is grace. How graceful are we at moving? Now the whole party's got to do this. So Kaylin's going to go first, and we'll have a look at his stats down here, his attributes. Kaylin has Brawn 3, Grace 2, Handle 1, Reason 1, Will 1, Charm 2. Right, so our attribute that we're going to use is Grace 2. Right, we don't have anything that we're going to use to improve on our move. So for example, if you look at Jeremiah the Forge Hand with his caving ability, it says this climber ability gives him a +2 if it's a climb test, all right, which climb uses your basic brawn. There's no climb attribute, there's no move attribute. All right, climb uses brawn, so he gets a +2 if it's a climb brawn test. So we're looking for anything that said a move grace test. As it goes, we're not. So it's a basic test. Every test we roll 3d6. Right, and what we're going to do is look up the result on this chart with a +2 modifier plus our grace. All right, so it's this 3 dice +2 grace on this. Okay, that's 10, that's 12. Now the walkthrough says assume he rolls a 4, 5, 5. That's 14. With the 2 grace that he starts with, that's 16. So we go to this table and we look. We got, well, this is the top of the table, 15 or more. I've found a good route, Kaylin says. One other hero automatically succeeds. Awesome, Kaylin's found a route through. He's succeeded. One of these lower results might result in a failure and maybe having to take some extra time to cross the bridge. But with the lowest grace, which is our student, she has a grace 1, she's going to get the free success. So we've got 2 successes, now it's just down to Jeremiah. Jeremiah has a grace of 2, so gets to add 2. Rolls the 3d6, always 3d6, remember? Right, not enough to get us the free pass. We've got this level with only 12. We're at this level. You slowly cross the creaking bridge. We lose another time. We only go as fast as the slowest person here, it seems. So we're going across one at a time, and poor Jeremiah has lost us another time. We discard another time card. But we've all passed the test. So the treacherous bridge card is discarded. We've all crossed. We've made it into this location. Now we get to see what's in the room, and this is where we look at these icons. These icons here are environment icons. They can affect the types of things that happen here. Right, but they're not things that happen in themselves. Okay, they're just combined with other cards. Okay, but as it goes, we start with the foe. So we go off to our adventure deck and we draw until we find a foe. The first card we draw is a loot. We put this, keep it to one side, because if we defeat the foe, we gain any loot that we found, right? So loot goes here. Next, okay, here's our foe. It's a Goblin Brave, a ranged goblin. Not just one Goblin Brave though. We've got to look at our party size. Our party size is 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 3 people. So we're actually going to face 4 Goblin Braves. And each of these Goblin Braves has 1 health. So we set out these counters to each represent 4 Goblin Braves as 1 health each. Okay. Now at the start of combat, we've got to see if we've surprised them. Okay, we've come in and we've taken these goblins by surprise. And for this, we have to check their alertness. This is this figure here, this number 9. We've got to make a surprise test with a difficulty of 9. Now if you remember, we were sneaking, and the benefits for sneaking was +2 for our scouting and +2 for surprise. Alright, so we're going to get to do a test, but we get +2 because we snuck in here. We snuck in across that bridge. They didn't see us enter the room. But we also came in a dark exit. Okay, we came through a dark exit, so we get a +2 for coming through a dark exit. That's really all you need to remember, okay? +2 for sneaking, +2 for coming in the dark, but it's -2 for coming in the brightness. If we came in through a bright entrance, it's -2 on this test. All right, that's all you need to know. There's no other modifiers. All right, so we get 2 for the sneak, 2 for the dark to our test, and we're looking for a 9. Okay, easily done. We got 6, 9, 12, +4, 16. 16 is greater than 9. If our result had come in below 9, then the party is surprised. Okay, we go straight to combat. Equal to or up to 3 higher, so 9 up to 12, we proceed to combat, but neither side is surprised. If we beat the result by 4 or more, then we've surprised the goblins. Right, we have. Okay, 16 is 7 higher, 4 or more higher. Now we've got 2 choices. We can either retreat or we can engage them. Okay, with surprise, with the bonus for surprise. What this means is, if at the first round of combat, okay, you can only surprise them on the first round of combat, we're going to have +2 bonuses to all of our attacks, and the Goblin Braves attacks are at a -2, a disadvantage. All right, so let's go. Let's say Kalin, the farmhand here, decides to shoot his bow. All right, we're engaging this enemy now. We get a +2 from attacking with our bow. We're going to roll our 3 dice. This is for our attack. The walkthrough suggests we roll a 3, 4 and a 5 to give us 12. With the +2 from surprise is 14. Right, now we look at our bow and we look up this scale. Less than or equal to 7. The enemy hits us. 8, 9 or 10 is a miss. 11. This here is an advance, 11 or 12. If we get 13 or more, then it's a strike. 15 or more is a critical strike. Okay. We've got 14, so we're at this level here, the 13 level, the strike level. If you're not sure what all these icons mean, we got this reference card. Okay, so that helps us interpret this card. So with a strike, we do 1 damage. One of the Goblin Braves is damaged with only 1 health each. That's one of the Goblin Braves defeated. Right, that's the hero's ranged combat complete. Right, we start with ranged combat. Kalin's rough bow is a ranged weapon. I know this because it says, see this bow and arrow here? This is a ranged weapon, and it has a certain number of ammo. This icon here is the infinity icon. This sideways 8. That's the infinity icon. It's got an infinite number of ammos. I can use this as many times as I want. I've got an infinite supply of arrows. Let's compare this to Jeremiah's axe. This is a melee weapon. It has this melee icon here. Okay, it doesn't have ammo. Okay, it's not a ranged weapon. Right. So Jeremiah can't attack during the ranged phase. I'll quick look at the combat summary. We've got turn sequence here, and then we've got combat summary. Choose attacks. Each hero chooses ranged or melee based on their chosen weapon. Okay. Then we do ranged attacks, melee attacks, and then a morale check. Okay. So Kalin chose a ranged attack with his bow. He could have used a melee attack with his knife. Jeremiah chooses a melee attack with his axe. Now, what about Igana here in the middle? She has a spear. Now, the spear is melee or ranged. Okay, so she could use it both ways. And it has an ammo icon up here. Okay, this single crossed arrows. If you look on the back with the regular spear, it's got 2 arrows. Okay, that means it's got 2 ammos. It could be used twice in ranged attack. Okay, for the rough spear, only once. Now you do have these ammo icon tokens. Okay, so you could put this on here to say I've got 1 use. So we could use it in ranged, and lose it. But then we couldn't use it again. Once combat's over, all the ammo fills up again. You can go and retrieve your spear, pick up your arrows, yeah, that kind of stuff. But as it goes, she's decided to use her spear as a melee weapon. Once heroes have done all their ranged attacks, then the enemies, the foes, do their ranged attacks. Now the Goblin Braves are ranged enemies. Okay, they've got some ranged stats here. So, there's 3 goblins left. And they will choose heroes that have not been attacked yet. So there's 3 goblins and there's 3 heroes, so they're all going to attack a hero each. Starting with ranged on ranged. So first goblin's going to attack Kaelin. You roll the 3 dice. Gets 10. Now remember, we're in the first round of combat still, and we had surprise, so it was +2 on our dice rolls and -2 on theirs. So 10 becomes an 8. We look on their little chart here to see if that's a hit and so on. So 14 above is a strike. 12 less than 11 is a miss. Okay, that broken arrow is a miss. Now the melee heroes are attacked. So the second goblin is going to go for Ghana. Rolls the dice with a -2. She's rolled a 12. Let's assume it's a bit higher than that. Let's call it 14 with a -2. That's a 12. So that takes it up to this level, which is if we look, that spearhead is advance. Okay, advance. What this means is that they drive the next enemy back. Okay, so it's neither a hit nor a miss, but the next enemy, the third goblin, gets advantage. Now remember, they've already got -2 for disadvantage because we surprised them. Now they get +2 on the die roll for advantage. So those kind of things negate each other out. Alright, so there's a -2 and then a +2 because of this one. So the next goblin, driving Jeremiah, with a roll of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's still a miss. So the surprise has done the adventure as well. And so it'll continue. If we defeat the goblins, we get the warning note, and the party can continue their adventure. Well, that's just a little introduction, just to show you this game playing out and to take the walkthrough forward. But what I wanted to show you really is how the adventuring works, how the combat works. And of course we can start using some of our skills like accurate and aimed shot, gain advantage on your next attack this combat. Alright, so you can kind of exhaust this card and use that ability. He's got Tenacious here. Prevent all wounds you're about to take from one source. Okay, so lots of different cards and abilities that can help you through this adventure. Do try it yourselves, right? This is Legend Untold. We've just scratched the surface of the walkthrough really, and I really like the way that they've added these new tokens to help just with the bookkeeping and the playing of the game, because that's probably one aspect of this game that's is a little bit fiddly otherwise, is remembering all these modifiers and so on. So great job Inspiring Games. Really looking forward to playing this some more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.